Bob has secret agents back in the headlines, but one of the most notorious espionage scandals happened in 2003 when Valerie Plame Wilson's cover as a CIA agent was exposed by the media, and she became a pawn in a spy game that reached all the way to the Bush White House. Please welcome Valerie Plame Wilson. Now, undoubtedly, you are probably the most famous female spy here in the States. Before we get to the scandal, how does someone go about becoming a spy? What are the steps to that, and what kind of work were you actually doing?
Good morning. Becoming a spy, it's not as sexy or as maybe clubby as it used to be, where maybe you were tapped on the shoulder at your Harvard history class, and it was really very much the old boys network. Now, I think you go to CIA.gov and you submit your resume.
You say, I want to be a spy?
Well,
I worked at McDonald's as a cashier.
Got to start somewhere, you know, and it's a long, involved process, and it takes quite a few months, if not a year, to go through the whole thing for all the testing and the security background check and so forth.
But you're a very attractive woman, isn't it? Be in the middle of all that with these men? I'm serious. I mean, I think that, you know, we think of these spies as having to do things that other women wouldn't have to do.
No. It's not, unlike what's portrayed in Hollywood, you know, there isn't the honey trap. You don't use that. I think as in any, whether you're a lawyer, whatever profession you're in, if you want to pull people in and you're asking them, well, what are you doing? What is more attractive than having someone say, tell me about you?
Oh, I know.
You know, and that just...
What man can resist that?
I want to go back to 2003. Your name was leaked to the media. It ended your CIA career. You believe your cover was blown by the Bush administration because your husband, former diplomat Joe Wilson, criticized the Bush administration's policy and research going on in Iraq. Can you go back to what happened? Were you actually covert at the time? Was your name indeed leaked prior to that by your own intelligence community? Tell us.
You don't have to take my word on it. There was Scooter Libby's trial, and a lot came out in that. There is no doubt I was covert at the time until when my name was in Robert Novak's column. What happened, very briefly, to recap, because it was a long time ago, and this is a story that has had lots of threads. In February of 2002, the CIA asked my husband, Joe Wilson, to go to Niger and investigate claims of highly enriched uranium, yellowcake uranium, going from Niger to Iraq. If that were true, that would be really significant, because it would mean that Saddam Hussein was in fact seeking to reconstitute his nuclear program. So he went, he found that there was nothing to that, and he reported it back into intelligence channels. I had nothing to do with his trip whatsoever, other than the fact...
Been alleged before that
it was, but the trial made it absolutely clear that wasn't true. That what happened was my boss said, Valerie, when you go home this evening, could you please ask your husband to come into headquarters next week? We want to talk to him about that. Of course, and that was the extent of my involvement. Then move forward to January 2003, and President George Bush gave his State of the Union address. He used the now infamous 16 words. Through the British government, we have learned that Saddam Hussein has sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa. That's 16 words. And then, of course, we went to war. And no WMD was found then or since. In July of 2003, my husband felt that he had this information, and he put it into a New York Times op-ed that said, and the title was, "What I Did Not Find in Africa." And he said, you know, this was the primary claim of the Bush administration. We don't want to see the smoking gun in the shape of a mushroom cloud and so forth. And that's 1 week later, then my name was exposed in retaliation.
Now that was leaked by Robert Novak, who is deceased now.
Gone.
But the former Deputy Secretary of State Richard Armitage, Karl Rove, and former White House spokesman Ari Fleischer were also leaked your name, but they were never charged. Now, and I understand that you tried to get a civil suit going, but it's been dismissed by the Obama administration. Is that true?
No, it
was dismissed twice, and then the Obama administration didn't follow up on that, right?
Well, we petitioned the Supreme Court and they declined to hear it. But it was very clear, as the judge and the special prosecutor Patrick Fitzgerald said in Scooter Libby's trial, there was a conspiracy. There were parallel movements to try. It wasn't just one. There were many within the White House and at the senior levels
to leak it,
to leak my name and to disparage and to discredit what my husband had written in his op-ed piece.
And Valerie, you know, you said you and your husband, you have twins, a boy and a girl, 10 years old now, and you say that when your identity was leaked, it was a lot of stress on your marriage, with your children. How did you deal with that?
It was when you go from where security and discretion is paramount, and I derived a great sense of satisfaction doing what I did, which was working on counterproliferation issues. To go from that literally overnight to having photographers on your lawn, particularly when you have small children, I found
They were 3 at the time.
They were just 3, and I found it to be extremely disorienting.
Yeah, but you didn't keep a low profile. You did do a photo shoot for Vanity Fair magazine.
We want to talk about all of that too, Valerie.
That all came later.
That was later.
That all happened.
We're gonna go forward. You're incredibly interesting, and we want to know more about this story, obviously, when we come back with Valerie Plame Wilson. Don't go away.